Good morning. It's your producer, Scott Dweck here.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. Richard's out sick, so I'm covering the show today.
Oh, hey guys. Hi, Leslie.
Good morning.
Hey.
Elizabeth with John's name under you.
I know, yeah.
And
Now, who is that producing?
This is Scott Dweck. I'm the golf show host on the golf show, and
Okay.
my name is again Scott, and I'll be working the show today.
Okay.
I know Adrienne, our other guest, was waiting in the waiting room too. You see her? There she is. Nice of you to fill in. I'm sorry that Richard's ill.
Oh yeah, no, that's my deal. I'm doing 2 shows today, and then I'll do the baseball game tonight. So I'm going to be all over this place today.
Well, sports fans, we're taking you into the art world today.
That's correct. I enjoy your show. I listen to it often.
Well, it's not mine. It's Elizabeth's. I'm just a guest.
Well, you know how it goes.
Yeah. Hi, Adriana. You're on mute. There.
Oh, no, you're good. Hi, everyone. How are you?
It's good to meet you.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you for both you and Ruth Ellen for volunteering to do this and all the other PR and coming Saturday night. And I think Ryan's questions are great. It's going to be good.
Well,
Forward to it.
So this is radio, so we can't say we're seeing each other, but she records it so we can have the Zoom, I think, right?
that's
Elizabeth?
right. Yeah. So Les, if you guys want to use this in any way, you know, if there's anything interesting, hey Ruth Ellen, hey Adriana. Yeah, so you will own it after this. So you know, usually Richard sends me the whole recording.
Oh, cool. We can put it on our website.
I'm trying to get it so that it's not so bright.
Let's see,
Yeah, you're
Elizabeth,
all
I'll give you the
backlit,
cues
Elizabeth.
visually. So this will be 2 minutes, 1 minute, and short, and that kind of thing. You get the gist of that.
Well,
Your shades that are open.
I know I'm in the wrong place.
Just draw your curtains.
That's as far as they go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, because we want to see your beautiful face for recording this for posterity. Didn't know it's going to be bossy and make you move, huh?
Okay, we got 3 minutes till the music starts.
You know, I sent Richard some music, but not that because it's use Richard's email. So can you Scott, is it Scott, right?
Right.
Scott, can you just find some cool like bossa nova or some kind of Latin kind of flavor music for me?
He may have already loaded that in there because he just did the log. So I'm assuming that that's what he has loaded in there or something like that.
Okay.
Awesome.
If he's still out by next week, I'll be in here again, but we'll see what happens.
You said he's not feeling well?
He's got COVID.
Oh, shit.
No.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
That's much better, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hey, thank you. Now you're not a glaring, your aura. We have more than just your aura.
So guys, I thought what I'd do is I'd introduce the three of you, and then I want Leslie to tell us, you know, about the program and the inception. And it's just really interesting how this happened and the history. I had no idea. I mean, you know, that it's just like, who was covering this up for how many years kind of thing. It's like, my God, that's such an important piece of, you know, of the village.
Yeah, we
So it's
desegregated 7 years before the South desegregated.
is that right?
Yep.
Wow.
And there was a loophole. The reason it was a Mexican only school is because there was a law at the time that said Los Indios.
Okay, you got
So-
about a minute to go.
Okay. Anyway, I can tell you more about that if you want to go.
Yeah, I think the history part is what fascinates me. And
Yeah.
some of the pictures on the website, it's like, well, and I just think about some of it's just, I mean, off the record, my clients, wealthy clients in car towards the beach. It's like the way they live, and it's just such a contrast. So it's such a great thing that this is getting out, that celebration.
Okay,
to the
15
public.
seconds. I'm going to start feeding audio.
Supervisors to put the proposal on the November ballot. And the Biden administration is estimating that over 75,000 Russian soldiers have been killed in the war against Ukraine, that figure coming out this week. I'm Ben Hayes. We'll be back with more local, state, and regional news from the KZSB AM/FM News Center.
Welcome to the Arts and Antique Radio Show, where your host, nationally recognized certified appraiser Elizabeth Stewart, Santa Barbara's treasure sleuth, will help you put a value on the treasures in your own home.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven?
So let's find out. How valuable is it?
Hello, Santa Barbara. It's your Chantress of everything.
Stand by. I haven't brought you in yet. In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Hello, Santa Barbara. It's your Chantress of everything valuable and beautiful, Elizabeth Stewart. And I have my great friend, Leslie Westbrook, here today. And a mutual girlfriend of ours said, do you know what Leslie's up to? And I said, no, I mean, she's always up to something fantastic. But this particular project is fantastic with the capital F. It's just a wonderful thing that Leslie's convening. And we're going to talk about it with two of her compatriots. Leslie Westbrook is here, and I'll introduce her in a second. Ruth Ellen Hogue, who's also a great artist in town, is here. And Adriana Arriaga is here, but that's not the name you go by. It's Adriana La Artista, I understand. Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program that's coming up and the celebration, et cetera. And just start off, Ruth Ellen, she has a space in the Funk Zone, and she has a gallery called REH Gray Space Art in Santa Barbara. And I've covered a number of her shows. She represents at any given point a number of artists, and you can see that her shows are always interesting, vibrant. They're so different. She brings artists from various walks and various media. I remember falling in love with a certain tapestry. It's just a really cool space. And Ruth Ellen's going to talk about her role in this wonderful project. Leslie, I can't say enough about Leslie. She's, first of all, third generation Californian. And we go back a number of years, 12, 13 years. And Leslie's one of these people that, you sit her down and she will be the light of the room. And just the connection she's made over the years. And this project is another example of this. She brought me up to the Ojai Music Festival, and I was reading her bio last night. I had no idea, but she has a certificate of applause when she was awarded for playing a wine glass when she was a kid in Marcos Balter's Pan at the Ojai Music Festival. Turns out that you got to take a look at her personal website, Leslie Andrea Westbrook, because she's got a really cool picture of her as a little girl with a huge valise. And it turns out that she had the travel bug super early, and it's continued her entire life. Age 7, she was aboard the Santa Fe Chief departing from LA's Union Station, and she pretty much hasn't stopped since. And then, she's a career journalist. And she specializes in travel and food, et cetera, but also the arts, just a few of the things. She's been on assignment in the Caribbean, Europe, Mexico, Central and South America, Canada, Southeast Asia, throughout the United States. She loves when she gets assigned to cover Hawaii. She likes Alaska. She's appeared in print in a ton of media. Let's just mention a few. Condé Nast Traveler, Alta, the Journal of Alta California, Nob Hill Gazette, Sunset, San Francisco Chronicle, Next Avenue, Afar, Alaska Beyond, Montecito Journal. We always see her there, and Food and Home. She was the editor of Santa Barbara Seasons magazine. And I didn't know this, but when she was a little younger, she worked at Vanity Fair. And how I know Leslie is because we are collectors and we know collectors, and Leslie's helped many collectors with many collections. She's also a jazz aficionado and was prepping for a book last time we spoke. Just an amazing woman that has so many different talents, and it seems like she's bringing them together in this project. Just a little bit about Adriana La Artista, beautiful woman. You guys can't see, but we actually are on Zoom videoing. She's a designer. She received a BA in art and art design studies and a minor in Chicano studies from San Jose State University. Very recently, makes me feel really old, 2017, and received her MFA at the University of California, Davis in design in 2019. And she specializes in using her particular background. And interestingly enough, remember I mentioned she's got a minor in Chicano studies. So she's using that as well as her design abilities in her work. And so she's featured also. So Leslie, tell us a little bit about the history of this. How did this happen? Why haven't we heard about this before now? Tell me how you landed on this.
Well, I moved to Carpinteria about 10 years ago. And I actually, a few years ago, I started the Indivisible group down here. We have 3 people self-help housing projects. Carpinteria is 50% Latino, Latinx, and much higher in the schools, close to 80% in some of the schools. And so I became involved in helping that community that were very frightened during a certain presidential run here.
Yeah.
And also noticed that Carpinteria has several very beautiful murals, but none of them are reflective of our Latino community. And as a travel writer, as you've mentioned, for all these years, you know, I've been recently in La Paz, Baja, which has incredible murals. I was in San Francisco on a walking tour of the Las Prietas district. My dad was in Barrio Logan before he passed. He was from that area, and there's amazing murals in Barrio Logan. And I have just a great appreciation and love for Latino art and public art, and art that reflects not only the soul and heart of a community, but the history of people in a community. So when I learned that, and this is only one part of our project, but it's something that's gotten the attention of a lot of press, our elementary school, Aliso Elementary School, back in the 1920s to 1947, was segregated, and it was a Mexican-only school. And it didn't have nice facilities like the other school for the white children. It had dirt outside, not a nice playground. They did have showers, and and these were Mexican-American children. These were children born here that were segregated because of their surnames. So when I learned about this dark part of our history, I thought, you know, we should try to do some murals here in town. And I have a partner in this project. I want to make sure to mention her. Her name is Suzanne Requejo. So I told her about my thoughts, and we came up with this idea to create the Latinx Arts Project, Carpinteria. And we're here for education and to launch a mural. I mean, ideally, we'd like to do several murals, but we're going to just start with one. And we took the theme of past, present, future, pasado, presente, futuro. And we want to emphasize this sad period of our history. So we made we started by making a 15-minute documentary film, which we're going to air on Saturday night at the Alcazar Theater. And we were able to find several still living people that were students in the school during that time. A couple of men in their 90s, one who sadly passed away, Salvador Campos, and a woman who's 102, who is just wonderful, Josephine Villegas. And so they're going to be featured in the film we're going to show Saturday night.
Wow. And so this is a whole part of our area's history. What years are we talking about?
1920s to 1947. The school was desegregated in 1947, but it was really a pipeline for these youth not to be college preparatory, because they'd go to 8th grade from there, but to be a pipeline for the lemon picking industry here. So
What?
yeah, it was, and so you'll see, I hope you can see the film and people will come out and see it, but we want to include other parts of the rich contributions of the Latino community here. For instance, there's a beautiful mural that John Woolbrandt did that shows agriculture, avocados, lemons, tractors, but it doesn't reflect the contributions. And those are just one small part of, half of our population. So that's where this idea got launched.
So you mentioned before we went on the air, something about that sort of history making, that the school was segregated before something. Now tell me again.
7 years before desegregation in the South that we know about from the civil rights area of the Blacks. So this was desegregation happened here. And it was not just here, it was in Orange County, it was in the Southwest. There was a law passed in Orange County called Mendez versus Westminster, the city of Westminster. And that's how the desegregation came about.
Wow. Who knew? And such a cool thing. And, I want to get back at Adriana's take on this, and what she's doing for the mural. And maybe can we do that, Adriana? When we get back from the break, we'll have a little time. And I want to know, you as an artist, what your take on this is and what you envision. So don't turn that down. I'm here with Ruth Ellen Hogue and Leslie Westbrook and Adriana Latista, and we're speaking about a project for Carpinteria, which is to recognize the incredible contribution of the Mexican-American community there, in spite of some of the dark parts of that experience in history. Oh gosh. All right, we got a lot to talk about. Don't turn that down. Back in a minute. Okay, break.
You are clear.
Huh?
Elizabeth, just so you know, we haven't opened up the competition for the mural yet. We have some potential spaces for the mural. They're not set in stone yet. So
Yeah,
this
I
is
was reading.
Yeah, just so you know, so the panel is really an educational panel for the community and for community input and for us too, to learn what it is to make, how it is to make a mural.
Okay, yeah.
What it entails.
So Adriana, can you speak to that a little bit when we get back?
Yeah, I'll talk about the panel and maybe my experience with murals as a contemporary artist. But yeah.
Yes, that would be fantastic. I'm going to grab another cup of coffee.
Me too.
No, it's so funny because I did the let's say I did John Wilbrandt's
20
ranch
seconds,
for-
everybody.
huh?
20 seconds ago.
Okay. I did his appraisal of all of his art for the, the court case against the utilities.
Antiques
I'm
Radio
feeding an
Show.
audio.
Garden Gossip.
Cork and Fork Radio Show.
Tell me your story.
KZSB.
No, Richard didn't get the music.
I'll let it play for a little bit and then I'll bring you in.
Sounds like funeral music.
I know.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and we're talking about a mural project that's underway in the formative stage, I understand. And Adriana La Artista is here talking about the panel. And so this is, tell us a little bit about the panel. What's the panel doing?
So we're meeting, me or Leslie, sorry.
You go ahead, Adriana.
Awesome. Yeah. So I was invited by Leslie to be part of the panel that will be happening this weekend on Saturday. And it's really, I was also had opportunity to meet with Ryan over email as well to really talk about history of murals, how we as artists are partaking in this history making, the importance and just the creativity of mural making as Latinx artists. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I have two huge murals in my little tiny condo here, and I love them. And one is 18 feet by 12 feet, and the other one is the size of the entire wall. And I actually found it at a thrift store as part of a wall. And I had to hire a crane to get it out of there and get it into my house because it's the wall itself. So, I mean, the fact is that murals are such an important part of public art because they state where the community stands, and so, this is a really cool thing that you guys are doing. Ruth Ellen, what's your role in this?
I did 2 large murals in the Funk Zone. And the way it coordinates with this project is that the murals together are called East of Yesterday. And my assignment was to do the history of the Funk Zone. So I feel very familiar with that task of how do we bring the past way past, going way back. So I go back to the Chumash Indians,
Right,
all the way to the current. Anyway, so that's basically, I think my contribution is seeing the perspective of what the murals could be.
yeah. And what are you hoping for?
Involvement, I think. Seeing and another generation. I think it's important that the young people be really involved in this because this is their history, and bringing that history to the fore. I'm sure, as young people, you're involved with now, and maybe not so much the history before, what came before. And I think that in the mural project, it brings it together as a community, how that community was built, and what do the young people, whose shoulders do they stand on?
Right,
What shoulders do they create for the future?
right. And do you have any locations scoped out?
We have a couple of possibilities. We would really like to have a mural at the Aliso School, so that the children there now know this part of their history. And we don't want to just focus on this negative part too. I just want to emphasize that, even though we made this 15-minute documentary that we're going to air before the artist panel on Saturday night. But we want the children that are there now to know that there was this, that this existed. If you forget about your past, you don't have a future. So we're waiting to hear. The principal loves it. The parents for Aliso PTA loves it. So they have to talk to superintendents. We have another area that we've been offered that's sort of in a parking lot over by the theater and near the Mexican market, which at first my reaction was, well, nobody's going to see it there. And then I thought, well, for present, we have so many people that are living as DACA and undocumented and have to live in hiding. So, and we're a grassroots organization. We started with a GoFundMe. We raised, a little under $2,000. We had an event. We passed a bucket. We raised a little bit more money. We just opened a little measly bank account. We're really hand to mouth. So we're relying on donations, and we're asking for a $10 donation on Saturday night at our event at the Alcazar Theater. So we're just kind of raising little by little. So our next goal is to educate the community, to get input from them, because we want community input for the artists that we're going to open up a contest to artists. And we really hope to have a very, very, very nice honorarium just for the design itself. And it will be for both Santa Barbara and Ventura County artists, because, there's a lot of Latino artists that live in Oxnard and Ventura that don't live here, can't afford to live here. And so we'll raise the money for the honorarium next, then we'll raise the money for the actual painting and installation. And I don't know if it's horse before the cart, but I think once people see beautiful mural images that people enter, that I think more walls will come forward, that more people will want to offer their walls. So it's kind of a,
Right. Yes. So, and I want to know, I want to know if people want to donate. I want to. So if people want to donate, where did they go?
There's two ways you can donate. We have a website, latinxartsproject.com, LATINX arts, plural, ARTS project.org. I'm sorry, I always say .com.org. And there are links there to a GoFundMe page. You can also, we accept checks to the Latinx Arts Project, and we have a PO box. It's PO Box 926 in Carpinteria. Come to our event Saturday night. I am one of those people that always has a bucket, a clear plastic bucket, and I'll take cash, checks, money orders, IOUs, promises, whatever. So we've been lucky. We had a couple of generous people that have written some very nice couple of checks. So, but like I said, we're hand to mouth, we're grassroots. All these panelists are coming on a volunteer basis to speak to our community, and we're really grateful for that. So we're hoping we make enough at the door to pay for the theater.
And who's coming to speak?
So we have 4 artists. We have the 2 guests you have on today, Ruth Ellen Hogue and Adriana Arriaga, and they are both Santa Barbara based artists. And then we have 2 other artists, Ralph de Oliveira, who's a very well-known muralist. He's from Santa Barbara. He has Chicano and Chumash roots. And he lived in Santa Cruz for many years, but moved to Oxnard recently. And he's done 100 murals throughout California and Europe. And then his painting partner, Lisa Kelly, so he lives in Oxnard now, and she lives in Ventura, and they're going to come up. So each of the artists will give a little short presentation. Ryan Cruz, who is a journalist with the Santa Barbara Independent and the Coastal View News, will be the moderator. And so it should be a nice evening. We'll show the documentary with the filmmaker first, Brent Weinbrenner. He'll do a little introduction. And I said, as I mentioned, it's just 15 minutes, but it's charming. Everybody loves it. You'll get to see these wonderful people that were in the segregated school and hear from their voices. It's called Voces de Old Town Carpinteria. And then we'll have this panel, and we'll open it up. We have to be careful with COVID, but want to open up to the audience and get their input as well. So it's going to be educational for us, for Suzanne and I, as well as for the community, because I've never made put together a mural project before.
How cool. All right. So when we get back, I want to do another shout out about Saturday night, where people can go, how they're going to attend, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, Scott, let's go to quick break.
You got it.
Okay, when we get back from the break, I want to know more about Saturday night. And if you are, number one, someone listening and you want to donate, Leslie's going to give you the name of the website again. And so be prepared with your pens. And then if you want to see the Saturday night presentation and be part of the action, We're going to talk about that. And also, if you are an artist out there and you're thinking, wow, I want to participate, I want to know more about this, I want to know how I can be part of this, Leslie's going to tell us when we get back from the break. Don't turn that dial, back in a minute. Anyways, Scott.
Clear.
Okay, can you find some better music? I was hoping maybe you could maybe just whip onto YouTube and find anything with a Latin flavor at all. I mean, I can send you the links I sent Richard if you want.
I'll give it a try, Elizabeth. I'm kind of a rookie producer, and I'm trying to keep it simple so I don't screw it all up. So I'll do my best.
Would it be helpful if I sent you the links? I already.
If you send me the name of the song, I can put it on for you.
Oh, Leslie, give him a name.
Guantanamera. I don't know. Adriana, help us here.
All I can think of right now, Bad Bunny.
Otherwise, I'm going to put some
Bad
country
Bunny?
music on. You're gonna be stuck with-
Puerto Rican artist, very, very big in the line.
Okay, Scott, can you find Bad Money?
Just Bad Bunny.
Okay, I'll try.
Bad Bunny.
Oh, Bad Bunny.
We want pennies from heaven.
Yeah, I hate that.
Puerto Rican artist. He's really great. A lot of folks like him.
Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I saw him in concert actually in March. It was really great.
I'll have to look that up again. I've heard of that, but I can't say I specifically looked for it. So
yeah.
Randy, I was asking you those questions in email because I'm trying to figure out how much money I need to raise next.
I was looking for my contract, so let me dig again. I've just been super busy with work, but I was trying to look for a contract that has it. But I remember being roughly like over $1,000. But that didn't cover, like the museum covered the materials, and that was directly to us each because it was both of us. But yeah, let me look for the contract for the exact amount.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
15 seconds.
So yeah, let's talk about how artists can
You
get
make it
involved.
happen.
I'm putting
Call
in audio now.
965-6073 or visit weaveonline.org.
Oh, now we're launching a ship.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and don't let the music fool you. This is exciting, So, we're going to talk a little bit about the project that's happening. That's a mural in development, or many murals in development, to celebrate the great contribution of the Mexican American community in Carpinteria. And I'm joined today by Leslie Westbrook, travel writer par excellence, as well as food writer, journalist for years and years. And she and a friend, Suzanne, just had this idea that, wow, there was this segregation issue with Mexican American children for almost 27 years. Unbelievable. And why don't we recognize this and recognize the contribution of the community? And so they're convening on Saturday night. There's been a video made, a documentary film made, and I'm understanding there's some way advanced aged folks that have attended the school that are speaking in the video their stories about the segregated schools in Carpinteria. And also there's a panel of artists. I've heard of 4 now that are coming to talk about the history of mural making and how it impacts public perception and the history of a community. I'm joined by Ruth Ellen Hogue, who has a long tenure in mural making. She did that mural that you see in the Funk Zone. And I'm joined by Adriana Lautista, who actually was commissioned by the museum to do mural work. She's got mural experience, and she has a blend of cultural influences. And Leslie is here also. And Leslie, talk first about the artist contribution. If you're an artist and you're listening and you would want to get involved, how do we do it?
So we haven't formally announced that yet, but we are going to open up soon a submission for entries. And so we'll get all that out again in the press and so follow our website, latinxartsproject.org. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram, we have a wonderful woman, Alessandra Villegas, who works out at UCSB, who's doing all our social media. And what we'll do is we'll open up a portal for submissions, and we're going to raise some money so we can offer a very, very generous honorarium for the design only. And then we'll move into the phase of the actual production and materials, which will hopefully get donated.
So years ago, you mentioned Barrio Logan and your dad and the apartment down there. And, you know, I remember Mario Torero was one, gosh, this was 30, 40 years ago. I was living in San Diego. And I remember when they were convening, Raul Guerrero was working with Mario, and they did that Barrio Logan project. It was such an event. I remember being under the freeway there, and there were people, you know, like turning spits of ham and lamb. And I mean, it was a huge party whenever the artists got together to do that kind of, you know, collaborative work. And it was just a wild thing. It was so interesting. And it's such a landmark now. And I remember it started this way, Leslie.
Well, you know, unfortunately, many people were displaced in Barrio Logan because they built the bridge to Coronado Island. And what happened is, and maybe Adriana can speak to this as well, because I'm sure she knows the murals. They're very powerful. They're very political.
Yeah.
So this was a way to make sure that that neighborhood and that area had you know, expressions of the community. But yeah, that's an area that's gotten gentrified, and sadly, and I hope the area at Las Prietas up in Mission Dolores section of San Francisco, the same thing. There's free walking tours of the murals up there that are just incredible. And, you know, we just hope that these things keep alive.
Now, you know, what I was saying, though, is that Adriana, so this, you know, going back 30, 40 years, so the Raul and Mario, Raul Guerra and Mario Torrera, they said, you know, we've got to do something because, you know, the way the bridge was structured, you know, it cut the community in half. So we have to do something. We're going to, you know, present an idea. And it was sort of guerrilla warfare for a while because people were like, oh, no, you know, this can't happen. And then basically it was just like Leslie's doing with Ruth and Susanna. It was a project of the community. It came out of nowhere. And then, you know, like I said, these massive, incredible parties happening around it. It was great. Anyway, yeah, what's your impressions? Adriana?
For me, going into a space like Barrio Logan, I actually went during my thesis when I was in school. And so I went to Barrio Logan for the first time. And I had always read about it because I was studying Chicano studies. And to see the murals in person is a life experience. I feel like every Chicano student or people who identify as Chicano should visit. And in my thesis, I talked about the importance of the murals and how it is there to transform the space, as we mentioned, right? Transform the space, to bring community in, to voice what is important to us and our history, remember where we came from. As Leslie mentioned, you know, you want to know where you come from in order to know where you're going.
Do you know what's so interesting, though, is at the time, when the Barrio Logan was sort of, you know, an inkling in these two artists' minds. At the time, it was so interesting because I was speaking with both artists. I had a good girlfriend who was a wealthy woman who was a patron of Raul's. And we used to go over to his studio and she used to buy things and I used to admire his work and this sort of thing. And I remember how the art was so caught up with the politics of this particular area of in San Diego. It was so caught up with it. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, this is in the tradition. You know, you have Siqueiros and Rivera and you have all the artists that come, mural artists. that come out of this tradition that, the voice in the art is highly, highly political and really a statementy thing. And, Rivera had the Rockefellers painted over one of his murals because it was too political. So, it's craziness, but that's a tradition also in the community. And I remember at the time, it wasn't something that anybody was really thinking about. Let's continue the tradition of political voice in the mural. It just came. It just came, just happened. So, that was, I can only imagine how cool this mural is going to be in Carpinteria because of this tradition. They're the heirs of this tradition. Hey, Scott, you're giving us a sign. We have to go to break. Let's go to a quick break. Yeah. And what I'd like to talk about a little bit is Saturday night, what people can expect, where they can go, how they can find out more, how they can be part of this. Also, the important thing is this is a grassroots project. And so if you're listening now and you want to donate, Leslie was talking about they're asking for $10 at the door on Saturday night. Come on, you guys, you can do better than that. So, let's find out how we can donate and how we can make this project happen. And let's, do join in celebration of this community, Carpinteria. We're talking about 27 years of segregated schools, Mexican-American children, and the contribution thereafter and indeed during of that community to Carpinteria. And actually, as we're speaking to our whole area. So it's important that you guys open your pocketbooks, and we will tell you how when we get back from the break. Okay, Scott, let's go to quick break. Back with Ruth Ellen, Leslie, and Adriana La Artista in a minute.
You are clear.
Oh, Elizabeth. We're not going to turn any artists away from the door that can't afford $10. So that's why we say suggested donation.
Put a plus sign after the 10.
Yeah. That theater started out, it's doubled. It was, Suzanne told me it was going to be $300. It's more like $800. If we don't get 80 people there, we're sunk. Living on a wing and a prayer here.
My husband's done shows down there when they first opened up. So
yeah, $75 for the marquee, like additional. I was like, what? You don't include the marquee? I said, we got to be on the marquee. We got to take pictures there.
Adriana, I wanted to mention, so my son lives in San Diego now, and I purchased a little cheap condo so that I could, visit every so often down there. And I hadn't been to San Diego in about, 15 years or so. And I recently went back. When Barrio Logan was being thought of, San Diego was really not as big as it is now. Mm-hmm. It was just such a tighter community. I mean, I was blown away going, back to that area, seeing how the expansiveness of the city, you could actually, and that's what I'm hoping for in your mural project here, you could actually knew people. I felt like I didn't know anybody. It was such a big city now.
20 seconds.
And so part of the Barrio Logan experience was that we all knew each other. If we were in the arts
feeding audio,
Barbara, go to nevergiveup.org.
We'll go together. I know all the jazz musicians.
We'll call 805-203-0334.
Oh.
In 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back. It's Elizabeth Stewart, and we're talking about the new mural project that's underway and how y'all can support it. And the opening of the conversation is going to be Saturday night. And Leslie, tell us a little bit about that.
So Saturday night at 6 p.m., the doors will open 5:30 at the historic Alcazar Theater in Carpinteria on Carpinteria Avenue, just off Linden. Actually, the theater was also segregated back in the day. And the Mexicans were to sit on the right side of the theater, as was the beach. So it extended beyond the Elise
What?
Elementary School. Yep. So I think it's apropos that we're having this event there. So the doors open at 6 o'clock. We're going to show a documentary by a very talented filmmaker, Brant Weinbrenner, which features 3 former students during the time of segregation, 2 men in their 90s and a woman who's 102. She's just delightful, as well as a couple of fellows that were there during the transition period. And we have a lot of historic photos, and it's fun. It's short, it's funny, it's touching. I think everybody loves it that sees it. And that'll be followed by a panel of very talented artists, muralists, Adriana Arriaga, Ruth Ellen Hogue, Ralph de la Vera, and Lisa Kelly, moderated by Ryan Cruz from the Santa Barbara Independent. And he also writes for Loom Art magazine. I'll give a shout out to Deborah Herrick, who publishes that magazine and brought Ryan in to be the moderator, because I asked her first and she said yes. And she said, no, wait, let's have Ryan. So everyone is, chipping in their time and energy and participating, which we're so grateful for. And, we hope maybe next spring that this mural will come to fruition if we give a few months. Adriana, I'll ask you a question. How long, and Ruth Ellen too, how long does an artist would you like when we open up the announcement for submissions? Would 3 months be a good amount of time for an artist to have to come up with a design for a mural if they wanted to submit it for our honorarium prize money?
Yeah, I know we had a quick turnaround time. It was the first time the museum had done an open call for a mural. So ours was very fast. We only had also a week to do the mural, but we had a lot of community help.
Wow.
And yeah, I feel like as long as there's a clear prompt and theme, and inviting artists to, interpret that, I think 3 months should be good. And then just the requirements, like, do you need a sketch? How detailed, is there a brief, items like that.
Right. And we're going to go, and Adriana's mural was for the Museum of Contemporary Art in Santa Barbara, which is sadly closing to the end of this month.
Yep.
And it was a beautiful, beautiful mural. She's also been featured on the cover of The Independent. So her work is just beautiful and bright and graphic and marvelous. But we hope that some artists will come to this event. We're asking for a $10 donation at the door. We're not going to turn, if you're a poor artist and you don't have $10, I get it. Come, be there, participate, come learn more, learn from our community. And if you're not a poor artist and you're a patron of the arts, come and give us more. And we have an Instagram page, we have a Facebook page, we have a website. It's latinxartsproject.org. And there's links there, and there's links to our GoFundMe page. And we're also looking if there's any nonprofit that wants to be our fiscal sponsor that we can umbrella under. We're actively looking for that, or we're going to try to get nonprofit status. But, Suzanne and I both are very busy, and we're balancing a lot of balls in the air. And this is all, this is all run on volunteer energy here. So we're doing the best we can.
Okay, so I want to give another shout out. We've got 4 shout outs. We've got how an artist can get involved, how we can donate, how we can be part of the project. And now it's a shout out to a not-for-profit. And what the technical term is, Leslie is looking for a not-for-profit so that her organization can, what we call, pendulate off that not-for-profit, which is done all the time.
Fiscal sponsorship is what they call it.
Yeah,
This
so
means
it's
running a check through them. We have
That's
someone,
right.
we failed with 2 organizations, not because they didn't want to, they didn't have the bandwidth. We have one other possibility next week, but if there's somebody out there that says, this is our deal and we'd love to be of help, please reach out to me personally or reach us through the website, or me, Leslie Westbrook. I'm certainly Googleable.
Yeah, Leslie Westbrook is asking if there's a not-for-profit out there that feels that this mission matches their mission. She'd very much like to hear from you. I have a question for Ruth Ellen. So Ruth Ellen, so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, there must be a number of ways to develop a mural. It could be that there's one overarching design that's selected, and then all the artists have a piece of that design to execute. And then there must be another type of mural where each artist has an idea that they execute on their own. So how do you envision this mural?
from talking with Leslie, I think the design, and I guess at this point it could go to several different ways, but the design would go to one person's idea, and then the execution of it can go various ways. But if there are more than one place, pieces, more space for murals, there can be several murals taken. So that I know Leslie was talking about looking for and hoping that other people, other organizations will come through with a few more walls that can be used, and so more artists could be used. The idea of multiple designs incorporated, that's something that we haven't talked about, but it's an interesting idea. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, something that's evolved with this, Elizabeth, is, originally we had big dreams to do 3 murals, one of the past, one of the present, one of the future. Then the more we thought about it is one mural can incorporate the past, present, and the future. And now listening, even just now, as I say, this is an evolving thing. There could be 3 artists that could be a triptych mural that could still work together, where one person is covering the past and one is talking about the present, and another, what we hope for the future is, of course, an idealistic rainbow bridge of every color, sex, gender, everybody all getting along, So, and we have, I want to just mention, we have Suzanne Requejo, my partner in this. She puts on a fiesta every year, which was last Saturday. That's amazing. She does a Day of the Dead at the cemetery, that will tie in with that. So, we want those traditions, those beautiful, colorful, amazing traditions also incorporated into this. And so there's such pictorial, rich history that we can just make an awesome, bright, not just, sad past, but beautiful present, beautiful future too. So we want to be kind of a rainbow of everything.
I get it. I was just interested because some of the murals that I was involved in was that technique was, everybody gets a certain space. I know that with the Barrio Logan mural was everybody, but there was an overarching kind of ad hoc committee, but it wasn't really, it was, very amorphous, but it, I guess the what I was asking Ruth Ellen is, this concept of synergy, when it comes together, it comes together, when it doesn't, it doesn't. So, how much do you guide and how much do you not guide, Ruth Ellen?
I think that as getting into the project and seeing who responds with designs and so forth, that may be the nexus of where things grow out of that. But getting the involvement first is going to be really important. And the energy that Leslie brings to it and the center of that group, that's going to expand. And so, like Leslie says, I think that things can happen once the idea is embraced by the community and the community of artists, as well as the community in general. That energy is going to really help dictate where the project goes. Don't you think, Leslie?
I hope so. I hope you're right. Yeah.
Adrienne, I wanted to mention, I don't know if you studied this particular event, but a number of years ago in New York City, there was a wealthy landlord who was eventually going to demolish the building. And he thought, well, it's an eyesore. So he got a bunch of community artists together and he said, okay, go for it. Basically, the concept was everybody takes a certain wall. It was a big building. And it happened to be at a time when there was a lot of incredible artists around that building, kind of low rent area. And some of the great New York artists of the time, 80s, 90s, came together and did this incredible building. Well, then the landlord said, well, I'm going to demolish it. And the artists got together and said, well, but we want like 90 days to see if we can sell parts of the walls, just like I bought that part of a wall and dragged it in this house. we want the opportunity to do that. And the guy said, well, no, I own the building. I'm going to demolish it. Out of that case, went to court, I mean, way up high. And out of that case came the Artist Rights Act, which says that if you are a mural artist and you do a mural project, that you've got rights in regards to the building itself. And it's part of the cultural heritage. And so that was a really landmark case in mural history, because basically it was like, okay, the statement of the community as its artistic voice is valid, not just in the community, but in the courts. And I was really thrilled to learn about that. I don't know if you studied that in school, but it's part of the long tradition of the respect that mural work has achieved over the years. It started out being completely at the whim of whoever's walls it was, but now it's go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like that's also a good example where if you are inviting artists to your space, don't just assume we're just here to decorate. We're here as actual working artists, and what we make, needs to be preserved, needs to be also respected. So I think that's a great example of that.
Maybe, okay, so before we go, we have a very short, 4 minutes or so. But before we go, Leslie, I want you to tell folks where they can go to donate, and how they can join together in helping and be a voice as well. And then, I'm also interested to know about when we can expect the call for artists for this. And I guess it's through the website that they would find out how to apply, right?
Yeah, the best thing will be to either go to the latinxartsproject.org website. We have an Instagram page, Latinx Arts Project, where we announce things. We have a Facebook page. We'll try to make some announcements tomorrow night, Saturday, if anything's come to more fruition. So I don't want to reveal everything here. But yeah, we hope to launch so start, if you're an artist out there or artists, start thinking about designs, because very, very soon we are going to open up submissions, for people to submit. And we have a Gmail account too, latinxartsproject@gmail. Anybody can write, and if they have questions or they want to get involved, if they're not an artist, that they just want to get involved, helping us with fundraising. We'll be putting together a selection committee for the, the final art pieces.
Yeah, is it a juried? Is it a juried project? It'll
be juried, and we have a board. We have a wonderful board with myself and Suzanne Rejejo, and then Monica Solizano, who is the president of the PTA, and Natalia Alarcon, who's on city council here in Carpinteria. Monica's running for city council. So we're trying to get this old white lady out of the way. So I want to birth this baby, right? And then I hope it takes on a life of its own, and it will continue, and there will be more murals down the line.
So Scott, are you telling us we have to go to break? You're telling us we have to say goodbye?
No, stay with us for about 2 minutes, and then the dreaded music will start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ruth Ellen, can people come to Gray Space and talk to you about this?
I've gone to virtual. So the best place, the most fun place, of course, is Instagram, and it's REH, my initials, REH Art Gallery.
Okay, so you're virtual now. It's REH Art Gallery on Instagram. Adriana, if people want to see your work, where can they see it?
Yes, on Instagram as well as Adriana La Artista, and that's Adriana with 1 N. And I also have links to my shop if folks want to check it out. But
what's in your shop?
It's a lot of prints. There's also notebooks as well from a lot of posters that people really connected with, and so you can find that there. And then you can just keep in tabs on what I'm doing as an artist locally. And
just very quickly, what's going to happen with your mural by the Contemporary Art Museum?
Last I heard, it was still going to be up. There's also a second mural that they did just put up there. And I think they want to continue it as well. So definitely check it out. It's above Eureka at Paso Nuevo. You'll see 2 murals about Earth Day. And I think they're going to probably do another call out next year. But if anything, definitely.
Well,
with them.
Well, okay, we'll celebrate this wonderful mural project in Carpinteria. And if you want to donate, Latinx.org. And so, yeah, and I myself am going to go on and donate. I think it's a great project. Leslie, thank you so much. Ruth Ellen, nice to see you again. Adriana Lartis, nice to meet you. And people can
15 seconds.
Okay, people can follow all of this through the website and
10 seconds.
understand then. Okay, the call is coming out soon for artists, and donate soon. Okay, guys, thanks a lot for joining me.
So much. Thank you, Adriana and Ruth Ellen.
Thank you.
All right.
Hi, I'm Chris Cullen.
I'm Lisa
learned a
Cullen.
lot,
And I'm
you
Leanna
guys.
Finley.
Our program is called Garden.
You are clear.
Stay tuned to KZSB Santa Barbara, the Santa Barbara News Press radio
Hey,
station.
Scott,
From the KZSB AM/FM
is
News
there
Center,
any
I'm
way
Ben
that
Hayes
if
with news
you
from
clean this
California
up
and the West.
for the two re-airs?
Coronavirus cases are
Can you put
rising.
different
According to the
music in
latest
the- in
NBC
the-
News tally,
in the
the U.S.
breaks,
has
or
I think we
can you
can. I'll have
91
Richard do
million
that. That's
cases
more of
since
his
tracking
expertise than
began.
mine.
Yeah,
But it was a great
he
show,
often
ladies,
will
and
do
thank
that
you very
for
much
me,
for
so-
nice working with you.
34,000 daily
All
infections.
right, excellent. Thank you for.
Rate has
Elizabeth.
risen
So,
to
okay, so it's gonna
450
re-air tonight at
fatalities a
8,
day.
and
That's
then
about
Sunday
100
at
more
11.
daily deaths than the country was recording
wonderful.
this
Thank
time
you
last
so
year.
And but I'll send you when
More
Richard
than
gets this
16%
cleaned up, and I'll
deaths have
email
increased
him
more
now.
than
When he
18%
gets it
over the
cleaned up,
past
then
2
he'll send
weeks.
it to you guys.
Millions of people
And
around
then,
the world
he'll
still
send
have
it
no
to
sense
me.
of
I'll
taste
send it
or
to
smell
Leslie, and then
months
Leslie
after
can
coming
disseminate
down
it.
with
Gotta
Or
COVID.
run
cut
that
it.
show. See you
Analysis
Or
later.
use clips.
several
Whatever.
found that some
Yeah.